What's up YouTube, I'm back with another great tutorial and this is what we're going to make today. I used only Ableton stock plugins and effects and Serum 2 for this Trance project so everyone can rebuild it easily. But of course you can download the full project file including all the samples, presets and effect racks I used with the link in the description to use them in your own productions. And if you like this kind of content, make sure you follow me on my socials, hit that subscribe button on YouTube, that would help me a lot. And now let's jump into the project. For this project we are at 150 BPM and in the key of G sharp minor. I built 3 different 8-bar loops here. In the first 8 bars we have that core sound with the trance gate, and in the second 8 bar we have that perk sound which is playing a melody and the drums coming in, and the bass line is switching to a melody of 4 notes. And in the third 8 bars we have more of the vocals and yeah, just a little variation of everything in the third 8 bars. So I think you get a good idea how to create variations in this kind of genres. Let's start with the low end, and the low end sounding like this. So as you can hear, we have a very pluggy rolling bass line with a nice transient, so that the bass line is very present in the mix and able to deliver the energy through the whole mix. And let's start with the kick sample sounding like this. I loaded the kick sample into a simpler to reduce the length a little bit of the kick. Because the kick sample already sounded very good to me, I just loaded a EQ and did a little low cut around 30 Hz to get rid of that unnecessary frequencies, and a utility to have the kick in mono. And then I added a reverse kick to introduce the kick with more power. The bassline is basically 2 Serum presets. The first one is sounding like this. And the second one is just a sub bass. And for the MIDI notes, we have 3 notes playing after each kick. I created 2 different tracks here because I lowered the volume of the first note because the kick is still playing where the first bass note is playing. If you don't do that, the kick and the bass line would clash too much. You can do that with velocity or with a sidechain filter. But if you're not able to reduce the velocity, you can do it like this and you will achieve the same outcome. For the Serum preset, I used 2 oscillators. The first oscillator is a custom wavetable, but you can also use the default shape. But with this custom wavetable, the transient is a little bit more sharper, a little bit more clickier, and that's why I choose this wavetable. And the second oscillator is a basic CJW wavetable. Set the degree and the randomness to 0 of the first oscillator, and for the second oscillator I only reduce the randomness to 0 and increase the unison to 2. Use 3 different envelopes here. All of them have a very slow decay time, and that's important to achieve that pluggy sound in the bass line. And the first envelope is only controlling the length of the note. The second envelope is controlling the cutoff here, and the third envelope is also controlling the cutoff, and that's why we have that nice pluggy transient sound. For the FX, I loaded in a distortion. You can increase the distortion with the cutoff knob here in the macro tab, but for me the sound already sounding distorted enough. But if you want more power in your bass line, you can increase the cutoff. Then I did a little EQ to take out some frequencies around 175 Hz and give the frequencies around 780 a little boost here. Then a compressor to add gain, and that's it for the bass preset. Then an EQ with a low cut for the unnecessary frequencies. For the first note of the bass line, I added a shaper tool, which is controlling the loudness so that the bass line is ducked even more when the kick is playing. So with the kick together. So you can hear everything is sitting well and have enough place to work. And when I was listening to the bass line, I had the feeling that there could be a little bit more sub. So I added a third sub layer and mixed the gain in until the bass line sounding full enough. And therefore I used a mid bass preset, which is only a MB saw wave with the randomness to 0 and pitch down 2 octaves. And with the envelope, which is controlling the cutoff here, so that it opens every time the note is playing. And for the FX, I added a distortion and a compressor. Then I did a very big high cut so that only the sub frequencies are left, and another EQ for the very low frequencies below 30 Hz. And on the bass group, I added an EQ because when I was comparing my bassline to the reference track, my bassline is missing a little bit of frequencies compared to the reference. So I gave my bassline a boost around 138 Hertz here and then tightened it up with the glue compressor with a very fast attack time and a long release time. Then lowered the threshold and bring up the gain with the makeup knob here. Let's hear the bassline without the group effects. Then I did another glue compression on the full kick and bass group with the same settings to make the kick and the bass group even more tighter. So without the glue compression and with. That's it for the low end. By the way, if you want to use all the presets, effect racks and samples I used in this project, you can download the full project file with the link in the description to play around with the samples or effect racks by yourself or use them in your own productions. So our drums sounding like this. So nothing too special here, 909 open head and a closed head loop with a low cut on each track. For the clap sound I used the clap crusher effect, and that's basically a reverb, an overdrive and a pedal, and then a gate and a shaper to set the length of the crush effect. So the clap without the effects and with. And that's a nice technique to get the dirtiness in the clap. Then we have the perk sound, which is playing a melody. So I loaded a nice plucky melody sample into my simpler and give it a little bit of EQ, compression and a raw effect where I boosted the high frequencies, then a saturator for my texture and a reverb and a delay after it. And then the perk sound is sounding like this. And yeah, that's it for the drums. So nothing special here. As always, you don't need to overthink your drum section. Just find good samples and position them well in the mix, and then you're good to go. In the main synth group, we only have the core melody with the trance gate, which is sounding like this. And the way I did that sound is I loaded a chorus sample into my simpler, and then I added an EQ, a wah to boost the mid and the highs, and a shaper, which is our trance gate here. There are many tools to help you creating a trance gate, like LFO tool or the Trance Gate KHS, which is free by the way, but if you don't have that, you can also create a Trance Gate with Ableton stock plugins. I did that with a shaper here. So I draw in my Trance Gate here and map the shaper to the gain, and this is creating that Trance Gate stutter effect. One important step when you work with the shaper is to increase the smoothness here, because otherwise the shaper can give you sound unwanted fragments. Then I added a compressor to make the sound more present and another compressor to reduce the peaks of the sound. And then in EQ, I took out a lot of the mid frequencies because in this area the frequencies was way too loud. And at the end, I increased the width with the utility. For the reverb, I created a return track, and you can do that by duplicating the first effect rack. And here I used the same trance gate and added the Convolution Reverb Pro and an EQ after it. And then I lowered the gain until the reverb sounding nice to me. So you don't lose the power of the original sound because you are just adding the reverb on the second track underneath the original sound. So for the vocals, I recorded my voice and converted it with an AI tool, and the vocals sounding like this.
Lights on my chest, crew on my side, everybody in the building dancing through the night.
And for DFX, I did an EQ with a very big low cut to achieve that radio sounding vocal and give it a boost around 1000 Hertz here. Then I added a saturator to add a little bit of texture to the vocal, and on the vocal bus I added the effects like delay, reverb, another EQ and a compressor to have smooth and loud vocals, and then an auto filter to automate the high cut in the first 8 bars of the vocals here. And yeah, that's it for the vocals. For the FX group I only used a riser here, then a shout sound and a crash sound. And that's it for the sounds. Let's talk about the arrangement. So as I mentioned, I built 3 different 8 bars here. So the first 8 bars sounding like this.
Lights on my chest, crew on my side, dancing through the night.
So in the first bar, we have only the core sound is playing, and then the kick and the bass line are coming in with that nice reverse kick, and then they playing the rest of the 3 bars here. And in the second 8 bars, the open head is coming in, and we introducing that perk sound, which is playing a call and response with the vocals.
Bass on my chest, crew on my side, dancing through the night.
And right before the second 8 bars starting, I took out the kick, and then the risers coming in, and right before the second section starts, I took out all the elements except the perk and this nice little shout sample, which is important for the energy of the transition.
Dancing through the night.
And then in the second 8 bars, the bass line is changing to a 4-note pattern, which is sounding like this. And then all of the drums are playing with that perk melody, and then the core sound and the male sounds coming in to catch the vibe of the first 8 bars. I took out 2 kicks here and did a variation to the claps. And then we have again that nice shout sound. And then we have a nice transition to the third 8 bars.
Dancing through the lights on my chest, crew on my side.
And the third 8 bars sounding like this.
Dancing through the lights on my chest, crew on my side. Everybody in the building dancing through the night. Bars on my chest, crew on my side. Everybody in the building dancing through the night.
So in the third 8 bars, the male vocals are the main element, and that's why I did a high cut on the core sound to give the vocals more room. And for the last 4 bars here, I took out the drums, only the clap is playing at the end. And the high cut of the core sound is opening together with the riser to build more tension for the next section, which probably would be a break here.
Everybody in the building dancing through the night.
And yeah, that's it for this project. I hope you learned something new and how to create different 8-bar sections so that they are still matching the main idea and vibe of your track. As always, I would love to read your questions and feedback in the comment section. Also, let me know what you want to see next. And if you want to use all the samples, presets, effect racks I used in this project, you can download the full project file with the link in the description. Thanks again for the support. And now we will listen to the full track. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.